What actually does make a good agent? Like when you're interviewing an agent, what is the thing that you should be really looking for?
I will defend you. I will protect you. I will be at bat for you. But the best way to do that is to get along with the other party who has your house.
The best way to have a smooth transaction is to be available.
If it takes 30 seconds or less, do it right now.
Unless you know that they're really experienced. If you've got one sitting next to the other, I would use a full-time agent. Feel free to interview a couple agents if you're not sure who to use.
Welcome back to another episode of Millennia. What are we talking about today?
What makes a good agent? Realtors, they've taken a little bit of a hit these past few weeks, months.
Yep.
Reputation. I haven't been exceedingly happy about it, but we figured we would get on. We've talked a little bit about not hiring your family members. We've talked about not knowing what questions to ask, that type of thing. But what actually does make a good agent? Like when you're interviewing an agent, what is the thing that you should be really looking for?
That could be different for everybody.
And it can be different
on what
for everybody.
Even NAR puts out the statistics of what, like by generation, what each generation finds valuable in an agent. Mm-hmm. They vary depending on.
You are a dead set millennial. So what do you look for?
Dead set millennial.
You are like right in the middle. So what do you look for in an agent?
Tell me what to do.
Guidance.
Yeah. Communicate with me so I know what's going on, and knowledge.
Okay.
Those are the big ones, and be available when I am. At least when I was shopping for my house, I had probably one of the most ideal, not the most ideal, but pretty ideal showing availability because I worked all different hours. So if I went in at 2, then I could give my agent all morning, which is like me as an agent. That's my dream.
Yeah.
I'm like, oh my God, I can take you out before 2:00 in the afternoon. That's amazing.
I know. And so I think availability, knowledge, guidance, communication, I think is a big one.
And collaboration. That's not something as a client that I would have thought, but now being an agent is something that's, I don't think is talked about enough.
Mm-hmm.
And not just collaborative with like between agent and client, but like agent and client, agent to agent.
Yeah.
Like whether it be like listing side and buying side, because at the end of the day, you just want, everybody wants the same thing. Everybody has the same goal. There's no use of the people who are saying, I'm going to fight for my clients. I'm going to fight for you. I'm not going to fight anybody.
Yeah.
That gets weird.
That
gets everybody mad, really.
It's really great for like HGTV and Bravo.
Like I will defend you. I will protect you.
Yeah.
I will be at bat for you. But the best way to do that is to get along with the other party who has your house.
Yeah. I would say somebody, an agent who has a high EQ, meaning an emotional intelligence, because not only does an agent need to know what to say to a concerned, nervous, angry client,
there's
but also
so many emotions.
There's so many emotions, but also, yeah, when you're talking to your counterpart in a transaction, like going in and being super jokey with someone who's been in the business for 40 years, like that's not necessarily the same thing versus being super serious with a 35-year-old agent where we're a similar age. So I think it
was like me when I was in communication with the listing agent of the house I was under contract with. And I like crack jokes every now and then, get business done, but still keep it lighthearted. Yeah. And I'd crack a joke and he didn't laugh. Yeah. I went to my clients and I said, I don't have like complaints about this guy. He gets the job done. But he doesn't laugh at my jokes. So he seems a little suspicious.
Yeah, no, I call them Sethisms. I've got like 15 to 20 little kitschy agent specific little things that I say to every agent. But I use them like a test balloon. And if they don't laugh, then I know, okay, let's button it up, be a little bit more. This person wants to be professional because you need to there's a book called The 5 Love Languages, it's really for like couples, but it really is about emotional connection. And people want to know that the person across the table are safe, knowledgeable, but people like to work with people who are like them. If you're super buttoned up, if an agent's super buttoned up and then the person on the other side is a complete like disaster or scatterbrain, and vice versa, it can be not as great of a transaction. So
plus reputation, that carries along with reputation. And like this might all sound like it's only relative to agent talk, but this all goes into how we are able to represent you and serve you. So, if you get a reputation of somebody who is like difficult to work with or doesn't solve the problems that are coming up or is combative.
Pain in the ass is what.
Yeah. That's a good way to just button up everything I just said. Yeah, if you're a raging pain in the ass, that's going to follow along. So if you're putting in offers for your clients and the listing agency is your name, they're not really going to want to work with you. And that's stuff that happens on the back end in this industry. And on the flip side, you could have an agent who networks with other agents and has great standing relationship with other agents where if you're, say I'm listing somebody's house and I can reach out to the agents that I do know and say, hey, what buyers do you have for this? To be able to like speed up the process and get the best person for it.
Yeah, let's go back real quick to what the client is looking for. There's been lots of studies done on millennials and Gen Z, and this podcast is called Millennia Up, but we're really talking about to millennials and Gen Zers because the buyer profile, meaning like the things that are important to the buyer segment and those home buyers are very similar, and they really are very deferential, meaning they're just looking for somebody to tell them what to do. They are very interested in engaging experts, whether it's accountants or financial planners. I've talked about this before on this podcast where the whole idea is that they were all going to just click a button and there was an app for that and they were going to legal Zoom and they were going to do this, that, and the other. And it is absolutely the opposite. Millennials really want a lot of guidance. There's been a lot of talk about the relevance of buyer agency, which we're going to talk about a little bit in another episode. Yeah. And it's important for an agent to understand who they're talking to. And if we're talking really with anyone under the age of 40, they're busy. They might have a couple kids. It might not be their first home purchase, but it's their first home sale because they're selling their first house, their starter home. I have found that the best way to have a smooth transaction is to be available. Yeah. Being able to make sure that nobody goes to bed with an unanswered question is within the reasonable likelihood, within reason, is a very powerful thing. And so if it's 9:30 and someone's got a question, like I'm going to answer that question because I don't want someone going to bed like not knowing the answer. Now, listen, if it's something like, hey,
if I can't get the answer
what's the account number for the water company? That's different than, hey,
it's not going to keep you up at night.
Yeah, it's not going to keep you up at night versus, hey, do I need to like paint and spackle the holes in my wall because I'm pulling off like paintings and like pulling stuff up my wall, like stuff like that where it's logistical. Or, hey, do we know where rates are right now? Or do we know where this is? That is a huge remedy. And if I get it at 10:30 at night and I'm asleep, it's like the first thing I do in the morning. And that for me has been a very successful tactic, is just being able to communicate. I've just have never understood the agent who just gets a text and then just lets it float. And for me, that's like a first priority. Like that, I allow my day to be hijacked by a text like that. That is part of what I get paid to do. Plus, I just want my people to like have answers and be comfortable and not worrying about things.
There's enough to worry about.
There is.
Well have you worry about as little as possible.
But the other thing is too, is that especially in this like under 40, under 45 generation, it's like everyone's so busy. And whether they're busy, and I always tell you this, whether they're busy or not, they think they're busy and the result is the same. They could be sitting around doing nothing, but they think they're like overwhelmed and stressed. So that emotional aspect comes into these transactions. And I just have always been like, I am their agent. They have a question. And if I have the answer, I'm going to get back to them as soon as I possibly can.
I had a boss one time who had that I learned this from that I really like. He said, if it takes 30 seconds or less, do it right now.
Yeah.
Because he'd be at my store and we're talking about something and he got a text and he said, sorry, he said, I don't mean to be rude and text right in front of you or anything. He said, but this is going to take me less than 30 seconds. And if it is, I'm going to do it right now. I
think within reason, that's a good advice. But if you're doing something like project work, I also don't know about like in meetings. I'm a phone face down. I'm a phone face down.
That's
guy.
different. It's, okay. Yeah, I mean,
but if it's like you're doing like busy work or whatever, and there's something there, you do it right away.
Right.
You don't put it at the bottom of your list. Yeah, I get that.
Like I think I had to have a quick phone call with somebody yesterday, and something popped up. It was going to take me less than 30 seconds, and instead of just like putting it down at the bottom of my list, I was like, I can do this right now.
Yes. No,
and then move along with my day.
I agree with that. But I think the other thing that a lot of people are looking for is that knowledge base. We had another experience. We had another conversation about why we don't talk shit on other agents. But listen, every business, every industry, every profession has different levels of experience. And you don't need a 40-year agent. In fact, if you have an agent who's been doing things for 40 years, there's probably things that
some archaic type.
Well, they probably have a lot of knowledge, but the way they do business might be, like a little antiquated and clunky and everything like that. So I think that experience is super important. And with this millennial and Gen Z.
And experience doesn't even need to be tenure either. Look at me. I've been licensed for 2.5, almost 3 years. But I have a lot of experience because I've done a lot of deals within that time versus somebody who's been 3 years and has only done 3 deals.
Yeah.
Or Somebody could be licensed for 8 years, but have done the
So
same
they've been
amount
doing it on the side. I don't know. And anyone who's like in this generation, I know they like to hire their friends. They like to use people that they already trust. I think you should use a full-time agent. You should work with somebody who is on a team or they run a team because they have redundancy. And if it's especially on the buyer side, if you need like our partner, Julie, she needs me to open up a door tomorrow morning and it's on Saturday morning. And I was able to do that. If Kelly and Chris had worked with just an independent agent, I don't think logistically they'd be able to see the house because there would be no one else to show it. So you want to work with somebody on a team, but you want somebody who has a base of knowledge and does this in a way that is, I think, which is effective. There are a lot of agents who are part-time. There are a lot of agents, and some of them are fantastic, and some of them are actually pretty experienced. Mm-hmm. But unless you know that they're really experienced, if you've got one sitting next to the other, I would use a full-time agent.
Yeah, me too. So that is also important.
You used a full-time agent when you...
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
I did too.
I had my cousin vet her out, though. So my cousin was an agent outside of the state. She was in Delaware. So, of course, I went to her, but couldn't sell in Pennsylvania. And that's the other thing, too. If you are going out of state and you need an agent, don't do it yourself. That goes back to the episode of what things do you not have to do yourself? This should have been on there. Like, we can vet out other agents for you. That's why I
we can
people,
interview them and ask them the right questions.
Yeah, like we have a very large network of agents and ways to get in contact with other ones. We have the questions to ask. We can look on the back end of their volume and the performance and be able to ask the questions, be able to know that you're going to get the same quality and care and attention that I'd give to you if I was working with you.
What do you think in terms of research? Do you think reviews or Google reviews matter?
I do look at them.
I think they're a good indication. I think they're a good indication. Obviously, the reviews themselves speak volumes. Like, is somebody organized enough to go get them?
That's exactly what I was going to say. I said, to be honest, regardless of what they say, obviously you want them to be good, but it actually goes to show how much is this agent putting into showing their experience and paying attention to their business and how it is perceived. And
also it shows people's willingness to place those because you can ask for a review. It doesn't mean they have to give it. And I ask for them and people give them. So I have, I think about 147 Zillow, 5-star Zillow reviews and like another 45 on Google. And I go and I specifically ask for them because I want people to understand when they research me that I got a whole bunch of friends behind me who had a good experience. Mm-hmm. So I think that you go and you find somebody who's got 0 reviews. They're hard to find on the internet. Now, listen, they don't have to be some like Zillow Premier agent and they're like everywhere and they're on billboards and everything like that. In fact, I would argue that that kind of advertising is not effective anymore. But you just want somebody who's organized in their business. Well,
it's like the one that I found in Wisconsin, Hala Vanessa. I found her through a Facebook group. So there's this huge national real estate masterminds group on Facebook. And it's like dropping food into a fishbowl when you say
That's a Sethism. That's a Sethism. Actually, I stole that from my buddy Bob.
Ha! It's Bobism.
It's a Bobism.
But yeah, and then all of a sudden it's this like feeding frenzy of oh, this person's, but like I did pay attention to how many times an agent would be recommended in there. It's like, oh, okay, like most people have something to say about them, and also like quickness to get on there too. Reached out. I had interviewed quite a few, and she was great, and she answered all the questions that I wanted to hear, and I was like, okay, cool. Looked her up, saw that
whenever I do that.
I was going to say more of the same. Go ahead. What?
No, I actually don't do that anymore because I don't need to. I find people through the Remax network now. I don't have to go to the Facebook. Like, are you talking about like these national Facebook accounts that they're filled with spam and nonsense?
That's bad. They are sometimes really fun to watch people go ask the questions that they should be asking their broker.
Oh yeah,
Those
definitely.
Are some fun ones.
Yeah, it's like, how do I fill out an agreement of sale? It's call your broker. No, but I would only use the people who engage me by DM.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
The agent who like took the time to pop out of the Facebook and into the Messenger app, and then they would say, hey, and then I could have a private conversation with them. Because some of these brokerages, they will instruct all their agents to pile on and be like, hey, Susie's great. Hey, Susie. Oh, Susie's the only person I'd use. Susie's the best. Susie helped me.
That's when I do my cross-referencing to see how does you know each other and are they in the same brokerage? Because that's not.
If you are going out and looking for an agent in another state, your local agent that you're using, if you have a house to sell who's selling, you can use them to go out and vet that agent because they know the questions to ask. them to make sure that they're the right, and everything we've been talking about. Are they the right fit? Are they full time? Do they have a pretty good personality? If your agent here in PA calls someone in Tennessee and you get on the phone and it's some super serious, like 65-year-old guy versus a 35-year-old.
And we know your personality. Like, we know you, and it's like me interviewing somebody to fill a position in a company. You want to make sure that you are the right fit for these people.
Yep.
And we do get a referral fee from it. So yeah, I get paid on that referral.
Yeah.
Not going to hide that part. And because I do, I take it very seriously.
Oh, yeah.
And after I do get you guys connected and you start working with them, I want to keep following up and make sure everything is still like going smoothly. I'll be checking in with the agent and checking in with you guys. And I don't want to be putting my name on somebody who's not going to be doing a good job.
Yep. So listen, I think we can wrap this up with just the idea of definitely find somebody who has experience, who's organized on a team, but also somebody who's got like the right personality, the person you think is going to be able to guide you, hold your hand, and make sure that you get through a transaction a smooth way. And we said this in another episode. Feel free to interview a couple agents if you're not sure who to use. I don't think we really we've gotten pretty good at winning out.
I haven't really been shopped much. There was that one, but.
And then we're under contract with what we should call them, Sammy and Lindsay.
We could do something better, but sure.
Okay. But yeah, we always wanted to protect people's identity on this podcast. But at the end of the day, we were shopped. And I think we sent them this podcast and
Sven and Lisa.
Sebastian.
That's better.
Yeah. But we were shopped and they said they were interviewing a few other people and we got on and then they went dark for 10 days?
And so did Seth.
Yeah.
Seth got real dark.
I got
he was
real
like,
dark.
Oh, man, we lost it. We got beat out. I messed up. I should have lost them forever. And then literally a couple of days later, he was like, oh.
Okay. No, I didn't feel that I did that call. I did that call from like my car. I know exactly where I was. I was down the street and it was like the middle of the winter and it was like the 50,000th thing I had done that day.
You beat yourself up
bad over
I
did,
that.
But listen, that's how I get better. That's how I got better. And I took the lessons and moved on. But no, I think the clincher, and I asked them outright, I think it was like on our third or fourth showing. I was like, what was the deciding factor? It was this podcast. So there you go. If you guys have any questions about an agent, even if you're not in the Philadelphia area, we're happy to run down those details. But yeah, definitely use somebody who you are looking to connect with. And
who has a podcast.
And who has a podcast. That's always a bonus. Good luck out there and
catch you next week.
See ya.
Bye.